Hello, hello, hello. If you're watching this, you missed our only reading day of week 10, where we started to play around with Tinkercad, and we'll have an assignment with Tinkercad next week, so it's important that you understand how to run the software. Now, you do need parent permission in order to run it, so please, 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 if I haven't gotten that form from you, make sure you get that filled out as soon as possible, otherwise you're going to be stuck doing an alternative assignment, which is not going to be as much fun. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're doing. We're designing our own shapes using Tinkercad. We're going to use extrude and rotate features to describe orthographic projections in a more interesting way. We're going to visualize 3D shapes using Tinkercad. In order to do all this, we first need to join Tinkercad. So let's look at that process. How do we do that? In order to join Tinkercad, you first need to navigate to Tinkercad. There is a link under modules for you that says Tinkercad join codes. This has the exact directions for how to do this. Once you go to the Tinkercad website, it'll look a little bit like this to you. You're going to click the Join Now button in the top right. You're going to say, I'm a student, I'm joining a course. Then you'll need to put in the appropriate join code. They're different for each period, so make sure you copy and paste the correct one. Let's pretend I'm in period 6 here. I copy that inside here and hit go to my class. You say welcome to period 6. On this screen, really important, don't get tripped up. We need to make sure we log in to our Google account. Use your school one and it'll put you right into my classroom. If you try to join with a nickname, it will not work. So don't do that. All right, once we're here, go ahead and open up a new design. You can say create new design. I already did this. Here it is. It's just a blank one. And we're going to be playing around with this software a little bit. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the features available to us. First of all, in order to navigate our view, very, very important that we can look at our shapes from different directions. This is a 3D modeling software, so being able to move around in 3 dimensions is a really important skill. One thing you can use is this cube in the top left. What this allows you to do is to look at your shape from a fixed perspective point. For instance, if you click on a corner, you'll get a nice isometric view, kind of how we've been doing our drawings. If you hit on a face, you'll see just that face. So you'll see the orthographic projection from the right, or from the top, or from the bottom, which we don't usually draw, but you can look at your shape from all of those exact angles. The other important thing to be able to do is to zoom in and out and move around. So to zoom in and out, you can either use the scroll wheel if you have one, or these plus and minus buttons over here on the left side. In order to move around, if you have a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can click down on the scroll wheel to drag your camera around your screen, whatever direction you like. You can also, if you don't have a wheel, hit down Shift and right-click at the same time to do the same effect. Now, if you want to not drag your camera around, but rather rotate your view, another way to do that is to just right-click on your mouse and move around. And that'll also turn just like turning that cube would do. Okay, so then how do we play around with these shapes? You can get all kinds of basic shapes from this tool over here on the right. Probably the most interesting one to look at would be the scribble. All the rest of these are pretty self-explanatory. Let's take a look at what the scribble does. When you go to place down your scribble, it'll first have you draw the foundation of the shape in 2 dimensions, and then it'll rise it up out of the paper and create a 3-dimensional shape for you. So for instance, let's say I draw something like a smiley face. Now that smiley face is one singular shape that will be extruded or pushed out of that plane and into the 3-dimensional space that the rest of our drawing is occupying. So you need to hit this done button down here in the bottom right, and ta-da, there's my smiley face. Now, with any shape, you can modify it after you've created it in various interesting ways. If you click on it, this black arrow over here on top and bottom allows you to drag the shape up and down relative to the plane that it's on. You can also move it in any other direction using the arrow keys or by dragging it around with your mouse. You can also rotate it. These little arrows on all the sides allow you to rotate the shape in any direction you want. And you can do this by dragging or by inputting a degree of rotation that you'd like, for instance 45. You can also change the size of your shape by using these white or black boxes. The white represent the corners and allow you to change both the length and width. There's also one up here allowing you to change the height, how far it's extruded. The black boxes just work in one direction. So this one only lets you change the length. This one only lets you change the width. Now, another useful idea is to be able to make holes in our shapes. So how do we do that? Let's say we want to create a slanted surface on the side of our cube here. To do that, you need to get another shape. It doesn't necessarily have to be a cube, but that's what I'll be using. You need to figure out what you want to cut away and how you can use that shape to achieve that particular cut. So I'm going to cut away at this corner here. So where my cube intersects is going to be the part I'm going to be taking away. So how do I actually make that happen? I'm going to select the part I want taken away, and instead of having it be solid over here in its shape properties, I'm going to make it a hole. Now, if I do that, it's currently cutting away here. But there's this annoying outline bugging us. In order to get rid of that outline and to finalize our hole, what you need to do is you need to select both of these shapes, the hole and the shape that you're trying to take away from, and click this group button over here. You can also hit Control G for short. And that'll group the two shapes together, make them one shape, and the hole will be finalized. So that is how you create that hole. For some practice, we spent a little bit of time in class trying to see if you can design this shape here. So if you guys would like, I'm going to pause here for just a little bit. You can go ahead and give this a shot and try creating this shape on your own screen. It's a little bit tricky. It's got a lot of slanted surfaces. Again, I'm not looking for you to create the exact dimensions of it, which are wonky, crazy numbers, but rather I'm looking for you to just be able to recreate the general outline of the shape. If you can do that, then you have mastered the software sufficiently, and you should be really well set up for next week. If you're having a little bit of trouble creating those slanted surfaces, try practicing a little bit. Rotate different kinds of shapes, make them cut away at each other, and see what you can do. I recommend you try to make one hole at a time. Don't try to make a bunch of changes all at once, because that can be very tricky. After this, we went ahead and tried to create a three-dimensional shape using an orthographic projection like this. Now the trick here is to start with one view and then work out from there. So something that I might want to start with is just by designing the front, and then maybe figuring out what the top and sides should look like based on that idea. So this is a fun challenge for you to try on your own. Can you create the three-dimensional version of this orthographic projection? I hope that helps you guys, and if not, please shoot me an email. I'd be happy to work through the software with you and show you how to work it. Otherwise, I hope to see you next week when we'll be doing something for a grade using the software. If you don't have a permission slip by then, you'll be doing an alternative assignment, so please do try to get that to me. Alrighty, have a fantastic 3-day weekend, everybody.